Hey, you guys, if you are looking for a way to drive traffic to your Etsy shop, then today you're in luck because I'm going to show you how I create my pins and how I share them on Pinterest, either from my Etsy shop or manually pinning as well. So hang tight as I take you through my process. Hey, Frankie here with Hello Frankie & Co. And if you are new here, I help Etsy entrepreneurs just like yourself start, sell, and market on the Etsy platform. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Pinterest, why it's a great platform for Etsy sellers, and how you can create pins and share them either manually on Pinterest or directly from your Etsy shop. So let's get into why Pinterest. One, Pinterest is just phenomenal for driving traffic to your website, or in this case, your Etsy shop. It does a great job of doing this. I love this platform, and this is one of the marketing strategies that I use to grow my business, simply because it's super easy to use and you don't have to spend a lot of time commenting and interacting as well, but it has such a robust results. So I'm not spending a ton of time on a platform and getting minimal results. Pinterest is actually really great, and you get a high return on investment for the amount of work and time that you're putting into it. So what exactly is Pinterest? Well, contrary to belief, it is not a social media platform. So when you think of social media, you think more so of building connections and community, whereas Pinterest is a search engine similar to Google, but has a visual aspect. So when I go to Google, I'm searching for information. The same thing applies with Pinterest. But the only difference is when I search for anything, almost any and everything you can find on Pinterest, the results are you're going to be returned with visual images of what you're searching for. So how-tos are produced with images, or if you're looking for a particular outfit, it's produced with an image as well as recipes. And even now more so, videos have also been a big thing on Pinterest. So I wanted to share how you can easily implement this strategy into your own Etsy shop so that you can begin growing and directing traffic outside of the Etsy platform. Okay, so before we get started, there's a couple things that you will need in order to accomplish this. The first thing is you will need a Pinterest account. I highly recommend a business account versus a personal account because business is a little bit more robust with details as far as analytics. So the biggest difference between a personal and business account with Pinterest is that you're getting more analytics to give you direction on what is or isn't working, whereas your personal account does not do that. Now, if you have a personal account, you can do one or two things. You can either transform that or transition it into a business account, which is done super easily. I will drop some links below for you to be able to do that. Or you can start an entire new account, which is totally fine. So it is totally up to you. One thing that you do have to remember, if you decide to keep your personal account, you will have to get rid of all of the pins, or not necessarily get rid of them, but hide them that aren't relevant to your business. So if there are any boards or pins that are visible to the public on your personal account and it has nothing to do with your actual business, it doesn't tie in with it, then you just simply hide those boards. And so you can see it, but the general public can't. Okay. My biggest recommendation is do whatever makes you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable with just transitioning from your personal to your to a business account, go for it. Or if you feel more comfortable just starting from scratch, go for it as well. There's no right or wrong way to do that. But again, I highly recommend that if you are transitioning from a personal to your business account, that you are hiding anything that isn't relevant to your business, or in getting rid of it in its entirety. Okay, so the second thing that you will need is a Canva account. Today we are using Canva, which is a design tool. If you know of any other design tools, there's PicMonkey. Also, you can use like Photoshop. If you're familiar with those and you're familiar with working with those, they can accomplish the same thing. But for today's purposes, we are using Canva. Canva, let me back up just a little bit about the Pinterest account. The business account is free, so you're not investing in anything. And then now fast forward to canva.com. There is a free option as well, so you don't have to upgrade to the pro version. You can accomplish all of the things that we're doing today with the basic free account with Pinterest, okay, with Canva. All right, so let's get started. So here I've already opened up one of my projects. This is actually some freebies that I offer with hellofrankieandco.com. So you can actually sign up. The link will be in the below, and join our email list, and you get templates for 3 Pinterest pins. Okay, so when you sign up, the template will be delivered to you via email, and you'll be able to open these and then make as many edits as you want to. Okay. So for today, I'm going to make a copy just because this is the actual original version of the templates, and I don't want to screw with that part of it. And so we're just going to use the copy version of it as well. Now, when you are creating templates or using templates with Canva, Canva has a ton of templates that you can use. We're using the templates that I have created, but you can most definitely use Canva's, which I'll show you where you can locate those as well. And then additionally, if you just want to do something on your own from scratch, then you can more than just start from like a clean canvas. You're more than welcome to do that. Some of the things that I recommend when you are creating a template is that you want to, let's get rid of this, is that, or when you're creating your Pinterest pin, that you are ensuring that the image is visible, that you have a clear title, and that you are tagging your pins with your website or how you can be found. And this is really important with tagging your pins, because if someone, steals your pin or somehow it gets lost in translation somewhere on Pinterest, at least people who do run into your your Pinterest pins knows this belongs to you, and they can go quickly to your website to locate what they're looking for or what was suggested on the pin. Okay. So that's important. Imagery is important because this is Pinterest. And so this is a visual platform. So you want to make sure that you have a very good, clear image of whatever you are directing people, what action you're directing people to do. And then your title is extremely important because that tells people a little bit more about your Pinterest pin. Obviously, it doesn't give an entire, like a full detail, but when someone clicks on your pin, they'll be able to check out your description and see what the pin is in detail, or even what we would really like is for them to click on the pin to direct them to your Etsy shop. All right, so these pins are already created, so you don't have to do much, and we're not going to make a lot of edits, but basically what I would do is just, if you haven't worked with Canva, definitely play around with the platform. It's really great to work with and has a lot of great features. So here, this has an overlay on it, and you don't have to, you can get rid of that if you choose to, but I just happen to like overlays. You can also, if you don't want to use the overlay, the creativity is endless when it comes to Canva, or as much as possible, right? It's great for those that are novice designers. And you can, it's easier to maneuver around. So what I've done is I've just made this like a square, and then I'm changing the transparency on it to make it a little bit darker. And now I've changed the entire look of it. And then what you will do is just drag your image into this area. And let's see if I have any photos I can just drag really quickly. I'm going to just use Canva's images, but you can really drag anything here, and we're just going to drag and drop it, and it should drag and drop with no issue unless I have it locked. Nope. So sometimes it's temperamental. And of course it would be temperamental today. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's delete. Oh, that's why. Here we go. So in order for this drag or drop option to work, you can either resize it, and the resizing option I don't like 100% because it just sometimes it can kind of like distort your image. If you resize it, basically you're just pulling. Sometimes it can distort it because it makes it either really big, like too long for the pen, or the proportions may not be as accurate, but this one did pretty good. So that's one way you can kind of drag and drop. And then another way that I prefer is to use a frame. So we're going to continue, or a grid. So let me just move this image. So if I drop the grid here, and then the image will just kind of grab the image if it's going to play nice with me. There we go. Okay. And then here's my block, and I may just want to change my color block to a different color so that it stands out. I don't really like that. But I do like bright colors, especially with when it comes down to my pins, because I want them to stand out. You can also, I always try to highlight, like maybe these words are all in white, or these letters are all in white, and then maybe change this to like a different color so that it stands out. So whatever word that you feel will be like a trigger for your audience. Okay, so I've just changed that. Okay, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time designing it, but I just want to show you what it looks like to manually pen. Okay, so after we're complete with designing the image, we're going to just download it, and I'm just going to download one of them for today's sake. And I'll download the one that I made the edits to. And we're going to start first with, while that's thinking, we're going to start first with downloading it manually to Pinterest. So the unique part of downloading it manually, or manually pinning to Pinterest, is that when you include your pin with Pinterest, let's see if this, okay, so this is downloading. Oh, there it goes. Oh, okay. Well, it downloaded all the images. So the unique part of downloading to Pinterest is that when you share, you can like add whatever direction you want the image to go. So let's say I had a website, and I want people to go to my website instead of my Etsy shop, then that's where I will direct you to. And I can literally put in my URL for that particular where I'm directing it. That is the beauty of using that. Now, sometimes when you manually, or when you're pinning from your Etsy account, if that item sells out, or if you archive it, like you get rid of it, when someone clicks on that pin, then it takes them back to a page on Etsy that says item is not found. And that will share, you will basically just, it will share other things that are similar to that item, which means that it will also share competitors. So that is the downside of sharing directly from your Etsy shop, because if you ever decide to get rid of that item, it doesn't take them directly to your shop. It takes them to that pin, which no longer exists. Okay, so think about that when you're creating your pin strategy. The upside to pinning from Pinterest is that doesn't happen because you can put whatever forwarding um, address you want within the manual pin. And typically, if I'm manual pinning through Pinterest, I don't include the actual link to the item. I link it to the sections or categories on my Etsy shop, which I'll show you what I'm talking about once we get there. Okay, so to create a pin on Pinterest, you're going to go to create a pin. Simple as that. And Pinterest actually has like a pin builder aspect, but we've already created our pins. So basically, I'm just going to go ahead and upload this pin. Let's see. And I've got so many goodies in here. Okay, it's having a moment. There we go. All right, so we're going to just use this pin. And I'm actually not going to pin this in my Pinterest account, but I'm going to show you. We're going to get almost to that. We're not going to publish it. So here you can add your title, which I would say would be the title of what's already on my pin. Okay, and then here is the about section. So you want to write a good description of what this item is about, what this pin is about, and we're going to do that. Okay, so here is the destination link. So you can enter your website link right here if you want, or in your case, your Etsy shop. Okay, so hellofrankieandco.com, right? Or you can copy whatever link you would like from your Etsy shop. Okay, so if you decided that you wanted to just put maybe it directs to your actual shop on Etsy, then you would put it in that link area there. Or you can decide that, hey, I would rather just add the section, the full complete section of crochet designs, that link instead. So when we're talking about sections, let's see if I can get back to the actual front page. Let me drag and drop this over here. Okay, so here are your shop sections. So maybe I just want to do I want to highlight my business bundles. And so I've clicked on that section and all I do is copy, Control C, and then Control V. And there you have it. And that's the link that I will use. You also have the option of creating a carousel. So that carousel creates multiple pins that people can swipe left or right to view. You can publish immediately, or you can publish at a later date. And don't forget that you want to select the Pinterest board that you would like this pin to go to. So how this works is you want to make sure that you are pinning your pins to the most relevant board. I always start out with pinning it to, if I was pinning something, I've created 2 separate boards, one for Hello Frankie and Co., which is for the blog, and then one for my planners. So if this was about my planners, this pin would go directly to, this would be the first board that I publish it to. If this was like a blog post, this would be my first board that it would go to. And then I would push out this pin to other relevant boards. So you always want to pin to boards that are relevant to your business or to that particular pin. I would not connect this to a pin about, I don't know, maybe skincare. Since this has nothing to do with skincare, this would never be a part of a board in which I'm talking about skincare. But if maybe I'm talking about, my board is all about crochet items, this definitely fits in, because this is talking about crochet patterns and how to become a crochet designer. Okay, so this is the one way that you pin manually. You can actually add additional pins through the process, and and basically you're kind of doing like a bulk pinning if you would like to do it that way. And you just click that little plus sign. And then every time that you're complete, you can hit publish. So that is how you would pin to Pinterest itself. And then let's say I wanted to pin manually from my Etsy shop. So what I typically do is all of my pins I create them as long, or all of my images for my planners on Etsy, I create them as a Pinterest pin. So as opposed to the square images, I leave this as a square because this is something that I wouldn't share on Pinterest, but I do share these 3 images on Pinterest. So I created them as Pinterest pins. You don't have to do that. But what I do recommend, especially for all of your images, because sometimes the long pin distorts the image and it doesn't fit nicely into Etsy's thumbnail, which is important when you are, when customers are searching on Etsy. So what I would recommend, if you aren't with the whole Pinterest pin thing, creating long pins in your Etsy listings, you can leave all of these square, but create one pin that you put on the very end of your Etsy listing. And that pin, that's the pin that you're going to use to share your image all the time. Okay. And if you want to create multiples and put it at the very end, it's okay. Customers they don't know your logic for doing this, but it just helps make things easier for you when you're sharing your pin. Okay. If you don't do it this way, then basically you're creating a pin from scratch, which is the way we did in Canva, and then you're manually loading it into Pinterest, which can take quite a bit of time. So I'm going to just save, this is a copy, so I'm not going to save it. But if I click on my social media marketing bundle, you can see when the image comes up that all of the images are long. So we're going to just scroll through it. Let's see here. So they're all long. They're the length of Pinterest pins. And I literally created them in Canva with the Pinterest pin format. And then when you get to the very end, there's a big difference because it's square image. Okay. So the last 2 are square images. So what I typically do is when I'm pinning from my Etsy shop, I save it. There's the Pinterest pin that pops up, and I click on that, and then I'm going to pin it to the board that I would like for it to go. Okay, so since this is a real board for me, a real pin, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then what happens is it says, if you want to see it now, which I do, and it shows you what that pin looks like on Pinterest. Now, if you have Tailwind, which is another program that I use, then from here you can add this pin to your Tailwind board or Tailwind scheduler, and you can schedule out this pin to go out next week or over the course of a few weeks. And that just makes your pinning process much easier. So let's talk about Tailwind really quickly. Basically, Tailwind is a scheduler for Pinterest. So you can schedule hundreds of pins at one time, and it goes out on a time schedule. So it doesn't all go out in one day, but it's broken up into many days and weeks and months. I have spent an hour and basically scheduled well over 100 pins to go out. And that usually spans out, 100 pins usually get me through for like the next 2 weeks. So I'm not pinning every day constantly if I don't have the time. And this is where, if you have Tailwind, this little extension will come up where you can schedule with Tailwind. So we're not going to get into too much detail about Tailwind today. That's for another day, but definitely I'll drop a link below. And if you want to explore it, you can definitely do so. I highly recommend it because it saves you a ton of time. Oh gosh. I don't know how people manual pin all day. Like, it's just, to me, a lot of work, but it definitely saves you a ton of time. Okay, so that is how I would pin directly from your Etsy shop. Now, if you didn't notice, when you pin directly from your Etsy shop, it pulls all of your information. So it pulls the pricing, it pulls the title, and it pulls the description directly from your Etsy shop. So let's just try this again because I kind of skipped over that. Oh, that saved it manually. I didn't want it to do that. Let's see. It's not popping up. Okay, here it goes. All right, so I'm saving it to my planners, and when I pull it up to see my actual pin, we're gonna get out of here for a second. There you go. So it has the just description there, and it just directly pulls everything out from Etsy. So we're gonna get out of this part here. And you literally can do all of your images on Etsy. Well, this is taking forever. You literally you can do all of your images this way. So this saves time because you're not having to recreate images through like Canva. You've already created it. I create these pins, and see, it kind of has everything, but it gets, it's shortened in its short form. But at least like when you don't click more, customers can read everything that's on here. So this way, to me, saves a lot of time. But again, you can't change the URL. So where it's coming from is directly where it's going to be sent back to. Whereas when you manually pin it, you can add whatever URL, whatever link that you would like to, so that it goes to that. So it's more of like a custom way of adding your link. Whereas if you're sharing it directly from your Etsy shop, you can't change the link. It's going to share where it's coming from off of Etsy. Okay, you guys. So just a quick recap. Here are some of the things that you will need to be able to accomplish this. You will definitely need a Canva account. You can head to canva.com. You will need a Pinterest business account. So you can start your Pinterest journey with a personal account. I just highly recommend a business account because it's going to give you a ton of detail that will help you narrow down your strategy and see what is working and what isn't working. And those are all details that you will not be able to see with your Pinterest personal account. And then lastly, if you really want to get a little bit fancy and help loosen some of the burden when it comes to pinning and getting your Pinterest strategy going, I highly recommend that you utilize Tailwind. It's a Pinterest scheduler. You can also use it for Instagram as well, but I just have more experience with Tailwind itself, and I highly recommend it. It's something I use every day, and I can spend 30 minutes and fill up my boards, my schedule in Tailwind for the next week or two. So it's super simple. It takes a lot less time. And I just don't have to spend a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time to do things nowadays. So just throwing that out there. But I will put all of the links below so that you'll be able to reference back to all of that. And of course, if you have any questions, definitely reach out. Drop me a comment below. I'm always happy to be able to help you figure out your Pinterest journey. I love Pinterest. It's one of the top platforms that I recommend using in your Etsy journey with growing your shop. And I don't think I'll ever stop loving it. So there you go. So until next time, catch you on the next one.